For those of you that want to build an international business, how many of you would love to make money in your sleep? You'd love to have teams in different cities, states, and countries. You'd like to literally make money on different continents, make money in different time zones, and again, make money in your sleep. This is going to be a really great conversation because Fraser always brings the joy, the humor, the fire, the tips. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fire. And Fraser is one of the best trainers, coaches, mentors on the planet. He is retired from network marketing, so he's no longer in the field. And what I love about that is he's literally mentoring and coaching people in all different companies all over the world. So he's out there learning from the best, teaching and mentoring the best. You've built international teams, right? You've built businesses, like you said, speaking languages that I'm assuming you don't speak.
I don't speak Mandarin,
right? So,
Russian, Kazakh, Hebrew.
Right? And your wife is Russian. So let's be clear. We both have Russian wives. What would you say to someone that's like, hey, I want to start branching just into different cities and states, and then maybe eventually countries? What would you say to someone if they're, starting to put themselves out there?
I think first and foremost, there's something that you need to know before you build internationally. Everyone wants a team in another country instead of their next door neighbor. So everyone thinks that it's easier to build a team outside of their own countries. I think that's the first thing you need to know. The second thing is recruiting your next door neighbor will probably be better initially than recruiting someone in a different city or in a different state or in a different country. So don't avoid that. Now, when it comes to building internationally, you have to actually get quite strategic with not the countries, but the cities in particular. And I'll tell you this for a reason. So I built a big business in Italy. I remember the first time I went there, my mentor, who was my dad, told me, don't go to the country to start the fire, go to the country to pour fuel on the fire. Just build it at home, build the momentum at home. And then when you've got 50 people in a room, when you can get 50 people in a room, then go over to Italy. So I was like, all right, cool. Don't know any Italian, don't know any of the culture. Before network marketing, I had no idea about culture or anything like that. Didn't really interest me. So I speak to the leader and I'm building him up, and he gets to a rank where he has 50 people in his team. And for some reason, I was like, right, I'm going to get on a plane and come over to you. We went from Udine, where we had 12 people, to Trieste, which is a city next to it, where we had 8 people. We then took a train all the way to Rome, where we have about 6 people. We then took a plane up to Milan, where we had about 7 people. I spent a whole week in Italy getting in front of about 32 people, and I was absolutely exhausted. Where if I just focused on, let's just grow Udine, we're just going to do 10 meetings, 1-on-1s, 2-on-1s, 5-on-1s, 10-on-1s. Udine is going to be huge, and as a result, people will come to us. The second thing that I learned from this experience was, if I don't set the goal, they'll expect me to come back. Like, if I don't set the goal for the next time for me to come, they'll expect me to come back the next week. So the goal was, right, we've got 50 in the team, I'll come back when we hit 150. We've got 150 in the team, I'll come back when we hit 500. We've got 500 in the team, I'll come back when we hit 1,000. And every single time I did that, in every single country, we hit the goal every single time, because they were obsessed with this foreigner who doesn't know their language coming over. Yeah. If you're building on social media, obviously it's fun to be strategic in the countries that you do want to go visit a lot, because you will end up visiting them a lot. So if you're in the UK, if you're in the US, London is a really good spot. Paris is super, super, super hot right now. Berlin is on fire. Madrid and Valencia are 2 massive Spanish markets. Rome and Milan and Italy are huge. So the easiest tip I can give you, the easiest tip is finding Brits or Americans living in Rome. Ta-da! Facebook group. There could be 300 people in a Facebook group, but they're absolutely perfect. Why? It's going to take you 10,000 hours to understand and learn the Italian language for you to go and recruit Giancarlo, who's a pizza delivery driver, right? It's going to take you forever to do that. So why not go and recruit people who live there? Like, it's not that difficult to do. And on social media, it's so obvious to identify this. Now, this is why I actually think Instagram sucks compared to Facebook. I love Instagram, but Facebook is just the best because you can easily identify people who live in certain markets. But I'm going to give you guys a hack. Now, it requires a little bit of technical ability, but it's well worth it. So you're going to go onto Facebook and you're going to go onto the ads manager. All right. So set it up. You don't really need to do much apart from going and finding out where it is. Now, in the ads manager, you're going to be able to enter 2 things. The first one is the location. And the second one is the interest. So you can search for people in London who like Network Marketing Pro, Network Marketing Pro being the biggest network marketing based fan page in the network marketing profession. Eric Worre's page. He'll be cool with you doing this because you're going to be growing the network marketing profession. So what's going to happen is when you search London Network Marketing Pro, it's going to give you a rough estimate of how many people like that page in London. So you're going to go, right, London has 150,000 people. Berlin has 30,000 people. Rome has 70,000 people. Okay, what's the best place for me to go to right now? London, because there's 150,000 people versus Rome, which has 30,000 people or 40,000 people. So this is a really great way for you to identify, all right, Lisbon, Portugal, 3,000 people. Okay, next. Porto in Portugal. Oh, 25,000 people. Okay, I'm going to go for Porto more than I'm going to go to Lisbon. But little side note, if you come across someone who lives in a country or in a city that you're not focused on, don't say no to them straight away. I know we're like, hey, I'm building in London and you live in Manchester in the UK. Like, no, you can't join my business because I'm only recruiting people in London right now. Like, it's inevitable that you're going to be able to grow a business all over the UK, but you've got to have like an epicenter, a headquarters, one place to fly into and fly out to, and they come to you. Otherwise, you'll make the classic mistake of going on a road tour for 32 people all over Italy. It'll be a great time, but you will have spent 10 times more than you actually have produced in your business, which then makes it not so fun when you start looking at your accounts. I know you can write it off and all that fun stuff, but yeah, it's not going to be too fun. So yeah, there's a little hack for you.
No, it's really smart too, because I think ultimately, if you can focus on the markets that have people that are bilingual or, some people that speak English, right? Even if it's not an American, but they speak English, right? You can enroll those people. Like our hottest teams right now in the international markets, outside of obviously Canada, right? Because I'm in the US. Canada's hot, but like Czech Republic's exploding. The UK's exploding. We've got teams growing in New Zealand, Australia, but a lot of those people came from people in the US originally, and Denmark, the Dutch market, like we've got people popping up all over, but it started out with someone that was either, in the US market or someone that spoke English in those international markets. So it really is so exciting, and it's so simple too. It really is. People think it's so complicated, like to build in other markets. And it's like, look, if you're going to build different cities or states, it's not that different to build different countries. Yeah, there might be some nuances in the compensation plan or the culture or languages, obviously, but it's not that difficult if you find key people. And that's really, in any business you're building, any line you're starting, you want to identify those key people. I always say you're looking for fishermen. Most people are just fishing poles, right? You're the fisherman. But eventually your goal is to find other fishermen that you can duplicate, and the beauty is, like, for instance, I have a Russian speaking team here in the States, right? Because my company's not actually in Russia, but the key leader, Lana, right? Lana is having to translate everything. Same thing with like our Spanish team. We've got a couple leaders out of the Spanish market. They're absolutely smashing it. They just had a record month last month, huge promotions. Everyone's crushing, but some of them don't speak English, but the key people do. The key people are helping translate things. So that's really what it boils down to, is finding that key person, whether it's in the UK, New Zealand, whatever market, Canada, right? French Canadians.
When the people you recruit don't speak the same language as you, the level of independence is the time that they become independent is rapid. It's like, bam, independent, don't need you anymore. I'm going to watch all the videos. I'm going to translate what I feel our market needs, and I'm going to go away and do it. The second thing is, do you think the average income in Czech Republic is higher or lower than the US? Pretty much every country in the world, probably apart from maybe Switzerland and probably one other place, is lower than the US. If someone makes 500 euros a month and you can teach them, hey, all you have to do is this to make 500 euros a month, they'll quit their job tomorrow and go all in. And who's going to do more? Someone who goes all in, who's just quit their job, or someone who's going to go, I'm just going to build it on the side. So the speed and the independence is just rapid. So here we go. I'll give you a personal story, then I'll give you the kind of the tips and the hacks if you don't pick it up on my story. So I really wanted to build an organization in Australia. The main reason was because it was English speaking and I could relate to them, but also I wanted to go to Australia. I just thought, always told me, he said, Fraser, the key to network marketing is to become a part of the 24/7 income club, meaning you make money 24/7, like 24/7, right? When you're asleep, someone's awake. When you're awake, someone's asleep. But that's like kind of the key to this residual income game, is making sure that there's someone recruiting. The great feeling, John, you've got this, you have it all the time in your business. A great feeling in network marketing is when you go onto your back office, you refresh and the volume's gone up. And then you refresh it again and it's gone up. And then you go to sleep, you wake up, refresh. Oh, wow, we just had 25,000 volume points ago and I've just been sleeping. What the heck? Yeah, that's the goal. But also, it's the kiss of death to a lot of people because they're just doing it, expecting it to go up without actually doing anything. So you got to earn that right. So I wanted to build a business in Australia. And I thought, right, what do I do to do this? I don't really know any Aussies. The Aussies I know probably aren't going to be a part of the dream team. They're more part of the drunk team. So, which is fair enough. So I was like, okay, right. Okay, I'm going to go find a travel group. So I found a travel group called Travel Australia. It was either Travel Australia or Visit Australia. It was a long time ago. It was one of those. So let's go with Travel Australia. And I thought, what's a really good question that's going to be a really easy transition? So a good question that will be an easy transition. So the question was, hey guys, I'm coming to Australia next year. I've only got time to visit one city. Would you recommend me coming to Sydney or Melbourne? That was all I wrote. I wrote it in the group, post. First post I made, I'd been in the group for about 5 minutes, post. Well, it absolutely kicked off. All the people from Melbourne were like, Melbourne, 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 Melbourne. Sydney's crap, Melbourne, Melbourne. All the guys from Sydney were like, Sydney, Sydney, Sydney. Nah, don't waste your time in Melbourne. There's nothing to do there. Sydney, 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 Sydney. So I was obviously thanking them, but this was in the time when you couldn't really reply to comments. Replies to comments weren't a thing. So I was messaging these people saying, yeah, people who said Sydney, yeah, I think Sydney's better. It just looks more interesting than Melbourne. Where do you recommend I stay? And then the Melbourne people, yeah, Melbourne looks way better than Sydney. It just looks more like, I don't know, there's more going on and the reviews look better. Where would you recommend that I stay? I've only got 4 or 5 nights. I know it's a long way to come for 4 or 5 nights, blah, 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 blah. So they would then give me these little different recommendations, like stay here, come here. But the people who would give me recommendations, I was like, all right, they're prepared to give value to me. So they're open enough to have a conversation about maybe meeting up. So I was like, hey, I'm coming over. The reason why I'm coming over to Australia, because some people asked, not everyone did. The reason why I'm coming to Australia is I'm launching my online business. Would you be open to checking out the information to get ahead of the game? No worries if not. I just asked the question. So many of them said yes and ended up joining the business, and I never even ended up going to Australia. What I ended up doing, I recruited, it was around 30 or 40 of the people, which for me was super easy because I just had the post that banged. But what I did is I went to the admin of the group, started a group. It wasn't a massive group. Started the group and I said, hey, thank you so, so much. As you've probably seen, the post that I made massively helped me decide that I'm going to be going to Sydney next year. And I'm going to be staying here, all thanks to you creating this group. Real quick one, I'm curious. Do you make money from this amazing audience that you've built? The answer is always no. In these Facebook groups, the answer is always, always, always no. I don't make any money on these Facebook groups. Okay, great. So, hey, would you be open to having a chat to see how I could show you how you could make money using this, like leveraging this incredible audience? And if not, it's fine. It's totally fine. A classic script that we've heard a million times. They said yes. They ended up joining the business and they ended up recruiting 170 people from that group. Why? They have way more influence than I did. And they ended up building the Australian team. I didn't even need to go. They didn't even need me to go. They were like, yeah, we just do it all on Zoom. It's easier, time differences, whatever. And I tell you that story because it's important for you to know that I tried that in about 20 different groups and failed. But the one that I did do it in, it worked. So don't just do it on one group. Oh, a gardening group. Yeah, I'm going to go on a gardening group and just try it once. Oh, that didn't work. Like I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it because it was a very easy question to have an easy transition. That's the key. Easy question for people to answer, easy transition for you to go into the messenger and change the conversation.
And I think it's so important for people to hear. Number one, you did it in 20 groups. And y'all, you might do it in 200 groups before you find the right person, that key person, right? You got the admin of the group on board. It's so good. But also, the mindset needs to be when you go in those groups, if you paid attention to what he's saying, is you're going in there to collect friends. You're not going in there like, who wants to make money in this group? You're just going to get kicked out of the group, right? They're just going to spam, block you, kick you out. But if you go in there to make friends, engage, have conversations, you just never know what that can lead to. And the reason I've been so successful the last 21 years is because I've been building relationships, collecting friends everywhere I go all the time. And that's basically what Fraser did. He joined groups and he made friends. But I did see someone say, should I start out if I'm brand new, trying to expand my business internationally? And Fraser pointed this out in the very beginning. No. You should start with your neighbor. You should start in your backyard, your local market. It does come up often where people are like, they join the team and they're like, I know someone in this city, in this country. And it's like, yeah, but don't you know people in your backyard? Yes, let's start there. And then once you build up some confidence, you build up the foundation, then you can start branching out.
One person internationally can completely change your life, not just from your business perspective. It's well worth taking. What I would do is I would just take half an hour a week and really focus that half an hour a week just on international expansion. And if international expansion doesn't mean like other countries, it means cross county, just get really focused on that. There's so many ways that you can make that happen. But if you're not putting effort into it, it's not going to happen.